The maid tried to hide her scars until the Mafia boss saw them and took action that shook the city. The maid walked into the room with her sleeves pulled down to her wrists. She kept her head low. Her hands trembled as she placed the tray on the table. But the Mafia boss saw it. A dark bruise on her neck, half hidden by her collar. A cut on her cheekbone she tried to cover with makeup. His eyes locked onto her like a predator spotting wounded prey. And in that moment, everything changed. His name was Viktor Volkov. He ruled the city's underworld with an iron fist. Men feared him. Rivals whispered his name in dark alleys. Politicians paid him to look the other way. He had money, power, and an empire built on blood and steel. Nothing moved in this city without his permission. But today, his world narrowed to one thing. The maid, standing in front of him. The woman who tried to hide her pain. Her name was Elena. She had worked in his mansion for 3 months. She cleaned, cooked, and stayed invisible. That was the rule for servants in Victor's house. Be silent. Be unseen. Stay out of his way. Elena followed those rules perfectly. Until today. Today, she couldn't hide anymore. Victor's jaw tightened. His eyes traced every mark on her skin. The bruise was fresh, maybe a day old. The cut was deeper than it looked. Someone had hurt her. Someone had dared to touch what was under his roof. His fingers curled into fists. His breathing slowed. Calm. Deadly calm. Who did this? His voice was low, cold as winter ice. Elena froze. She didn't look up. "Nobody, sir. I fell." Victor stood. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a black suit that fit him like armor. He walked toward her slowly. Each step echoed in the silent room. Elena's hands shook harder. She gripped the tray until her knuckles turned white. "Look at me." She hesitated. Then she raised her eyes. They were green, beautiful, and terrified. Victor saw it all. The fear, the pain, the desperate hope that he would believe her lie. But he also saw something else. Something that made his chest tighten. She expected him to ignore it, to turn away, to not care. That made him angrier than the bruises. "You didn't fall," he said quietly. "Tell me who did this." Elena's lips trembled. "Please, sir, it doesn't matter." "It matters to me." Those words hung in the air. Elena stared at him. For a moment, she saw something in his eyes. Something dangerous. Something protective. Something she didn't understand. Victor reached out slowly. Elena flinched but didn't move. His fingers brushed her collar, pulling it aside gently. More bruises. Fingerprints. Someone had grabbed her throat. Victor's entire body went still. His face showed nothing. But inside, a storm raged. "His name," Victor said. His voice was softer now. More dangerous. Elena's voice broke. "My brother. He found me. He wanted money. I said no." He stepped back. His expression was unreadable. "Go to your room. Stay there. Lock the door." Elena didn't understand, but she obeyed. She turned and walked away quickly. Her heart pounded. She didn't know what would happen next. But she knew something had shifted. Something had broken inside the cold, powerful man who ruled this house. Victor stood alone in the room. He pulled out his phone. He made one call. "Find a man named Dmitry Volkov, Elena's brother. Bring him to the warehouse. Alive. I want him conscious." He hung up. Then he made another call. "Cancel all my meetings, clear my schedule, and send the doctor to Elena's room. Now." Within an hour, the doctor arrived. He was Victor's personal physician. paid well to ask no questions. He knocked on Elena's door softly. "Miss Elena? Mr. Volkov sent me. I'm here to help." Elena opened the door cautiously. The doctor was kind, gentle. He examined her injuries carefully. The bruises, the cut, a cracked rib she hadn't mentioned. He bandaged her wounds. He gave her medicine for the pain. He told her to rest. "Mr. Volkov wants you to know you're safe here," the doctor said, before leaving. "He'll make sure of it." Elena sat on her bed after he left. She touched the bandage on her neck. She didn't understand. Why would Victor care? She was just a maid, just another servant in his massive house. But the way he looked at her, the fury in his eyes, the promise in his voice, it was real. For the first time in years, Elena felt something strange. Hope. Meanwhile, across the city, Victor's men moved like shadows. Listen. If you're feeling the intensity of Victor's protection right now, smash that like button and share this story because you know someone needs to hear it. Drop an emoji that describes your reaction right now. Are you angry? Scared? Ready to see what happens next? Let me know in the comments because this story is about to explode and you don't want to miss what Victor does next. They found Dmitri in a run-down apartment. He was drunk, asleep. He didn't even wake up when they grabbed him. They carried him to the warehouse on the edge of the city, the place where Victor handled problems. The place where men went in and didn't come out. Dmitri woke up tied to a chair. His head throbbed, his vision blurred. When it cleared, he saw Victor standing in front of him. The Mafia boss held a cigarette. His face was calm, almost bored. "You hurt your sister," Victor said casually. Dimitri's blood ran cold. Oh, he knew who Victor was. Everyone in the city knew. "I didn't mean to. She's family. It was just a fight." Victor took a drag from his cigarette. "You put your hands on her throat. You left bruises. You cracked her rib. She owed me money." Victor's expression didn't change. "She doesn't owe you anything anymore." He nodded to one of his men. The man stepped forward with a metal pipe. Dmitri screamed. But no one heard him. The warehouse was soundproof, and Victor watched. He didn't enjoy it, but he didn't look away either. This was justice. This was protection. When it was over, Victor leaned close to Dimitri's broken form. "If you ever come near her again, I'll find you. And next time, I won't stop." Dmitri sobbed. He nodded frantically. Victor straightened. He walked out of the warehouse. His men would dump Dmitri at a hospital. He'd survive. Barely. But he'd remember. Victor returned to his mansion at dawn. In dim, he went straight to Elena's room. He knocked softly. No answer. He knocked again. "Elena. It's Victor. Open the door." Slowly, the door opened. Elena stood there in her nightgown. Her eyes were red from crying. She looked at him with confusion and fear and something else. Gratitude. "Your brother won't bother you again," Victor said simply. Elena's hand flew to her mouth. "What did you do?" "What I had to." "You didn't have to do." "What I had to do. Anything." "I'm just your maid." Victor looked at her. Really looked at her. "You're under my roof. That means you're under my protection. No one touches what's mine." Elena's breath caught. "I'm not yours." "Yes," Victor said quietly. "You are." He turned and walked away. Elena stood in the doorway, trembling. She didn't know if she should be scared or relieved. But deep down, she felt safer than she had in years. We're getting emotional here. Smash that like button and drop an emoji that matches how you feel right now. Because you can feel the weight of his protection. And this story is about to take an even crazier turn. Days passed. Elena healed. The bruises faded. The cut closed. but she noticed changes. Victor watched her constantly, not in a creepy way, in a protective way, like a guard dog watching its territory. He had his men patrol the mansion more. He installed new security cameras. He made sure Elena had everything she needed. Better rooms, better clothes, better food. She tried to refuse. "I'm just a maid. This is too much." Victor's response was always the same. "You're not just anything." Elena didn't understand him, but she stopped arguing. Because for the first time in her life, someone cared. Someone saw her pain and did something about it. That meant more than words ever could. One night, Elena was cleaning Victor's office. She worked late. The mansion was quiet. Victor sat at his desk, going through papers. He glanced up at her. "You don't have to work tonight." "I want to," Elena said. "I need to feel useful." Victor studied her. "You are useful. You're more than that." Elena paused. She looked at him. "Why do you care about me?" Victor was silent for a long moment. Then, he spoke. "Because when I look at you, I see someone who's been hurt. Someone who's been abandoned. Someone who's been told they don't matter. And I decided that stops. Now." Elena's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know what to say." "Don't say anything. Just stay safe. Let me handle the rest." Elena nodded. She finished cleaning. But before she left, she did something unexpected. She walked to Victor's desk. She placed her hand on his shoulder. Just for a second. A silent, "Thank you." Then she left. Victor sat alone in his office, his jaw tightened. That simple touch, that trust. It meant everything. But trouble was coming. Victor's enemies smelled weakness. Word spread through the underworld. The great Viktor Volkov was distracted. He cared about a maid. A nobody. That made him vulnerable. A rival gang leader named Alexei Kozlov saw an opportunity. He hated Victor. He wanted Victor's territory. His power. His empire. And now, he had leverage. The maid. Alexei sent his men to watch the mansion. They took pictures of Elena. End quote. They followed her on the rare occasions she left. They learned her routine, her habits, her weaknesses. Then, they made their move. It happened on a Tuesday morning. Elena went to the market. Victor had assigned 2 bodyguards to follow her. But Alexei's men were smart. They caused a distraction. A fake fight in the street. The bodyguards moved to intervene. And in that moment, Elena was alone. They grabbed her. A van pulled up. Hands covered her mouth. She was pulled inside before she could scream. The van sped away. The bodyguards realized too late. They called Victor immediately. Victor was in a meeting when his phone rang. He saw the caller ID. His head of security. He answered. 5. End quote. Talk. Sir. Elena's been taken. Kozlov's men. We're tracking the van now. Victor's blood turned to ice. His face showed nothing. But everyone in the room felt the shift. The temperature dropped. The air grew heavy. Find her, Victor said. His voice was deadly calm. Mobilize everyone. I want every street, every building, every hole in this city searched, and I want Kozlov. He hung up. He looked at the men. In the meeting. Get out. They scrambled to leave. Victor stood alone. His hands shook. Not with fear, with rage. Pure, unfiltered rage. They took her. They dared to take what was his. What he protected. What he would die for. He made calls. Hundreds of them. His entire organization moved. Every soldier. Every informant. Every contact. The city went on alert. Viktor Volkov was hunting. And when Victor hunted, blood followed. Meanwhile, Elena woke up in a dark room. Her head throbbed. Her hands were tied. She was on a cold concrete floor. Fear gripped her heart. She tried to stay calm. She tried to remember Victor's words. "You're under my protection." The door opened. Alexei walked in. He was tall, thin, with a cruel smile. "Hello, Elena? Do you know who I am?" Elena said nothing. "I'm Alexei Kozlov. I'm the man who's going to destroy Viktor Volkov. And you're going to help me." "I won't help you," Elena said. Her voice was stronger than she felt. Alexei laughed. "You don't have a choice. Viktor cares about you. That makes you valuable. I'll trade you for his territory, or I'll kill you and break him. Either way, I win." Elena's heart raced, but she lifted her chin. "You don't know Viktor. You don't know what he's capable of. I know he's weak. He cares. That's a weakness I'll exploit." "Caring isn't weakness," Elena said. "It's strength, and it's going to be your downfall." Alexei's smile faded. He slapped her hard across the face. Elena's head snapped to the side. Pain exploded through her cheek. But she didn't cry. She wouldn't give him the satisfaction. "Keep talking," Alexei hissed. "See what happens." He left. Elena sat in the dark. Her face throbbed. But she wasn't afraid. Not really. Because she knew Viktor was coming. She knew he would move heaven and earth to find her. She felt it in her bones. And she was right. Viktor's men worked fast. They tracked the van to an abandoned factory on the outskirts of the city. Viktor's intelligence network was the best. Within 4 hours, they had the location. Within 5 hours, Viktor was there. He stood outside the factory with 50 armed men. His second-in-command, Sergei, stood beside him. "Kozlov has 20 men inside. Elena's in the basement. He's using her as bait." Viktor nodded. "Then we give him what he wants, me." "Sir, that's exactly what he expects." "I know. That's why it'll work." Viktor walked toward the factory alone. No gun, no weapon, just his hands and his will. His men watched from the shadows, ready to move on his signal. Viktor pushed open the factory door. Alexei's men surrounded him immediately. Guns pointed at his head. Viktor didn't flinch. He walked forward calmly. Alexei appeared on a metal catwalk above. Viktor Volkov, the great Mafia boss, alone and unarmed. How the mighty fall. "Where is she?" Viktor's voice was cold. "Safe, for now. Let's talk business." "There's no business to discuss. Release her. Walk away. I might let you live." Alexei laughed. "You're not in a position to make threats. I have the girl. I have the advantage." Viktor smiled. It was a terrifying smile. "No. You have a death wish." He raised his hand. A signal. Instantly, the factory exploded with activity. Viktor's men poured in from every entrance. Windows shattered. Doors burst open. Gunfire erupted. Alexei's men were overwhelmed in seconds. Viktor didn't wait. He ran toward the basement. 2 of Alexei's guards tried to stop him. Viktor moved like a force of nature. He grabbed the first guard, snapped his arm, and threw him into the second. They both crumpled. Viktor reached the basement door. Locked. He kicked it once. Twice. The door flew off its hinges. He ran down the stairs. Elena was there, tied to a chair, her face bruised, but alive. Viktor's heart, which had been frozen with rage, cracked with relief. He knelt in front of her. He untied her hands gently. "I've got you. You're safe." Elena looked at him. Tears streamed down her face. "You came. I told you. You're under my protection. Nothing changes that." He lifted her into his arms. She was light, fragile, but alive. Viktor carried her up the stairs. The factory was silent now. His men had won. Alexei was on his knees, surrounded by guns. Victor carried Elena past him. He didn't even look at Alexei. "Do what you want with him," Victor told Sergei. "Make it hurt." He walked out of the factory, with Elena in his arms. She buried her face in his chest. For the first time since this nightmare began, she felt safe, truly safe. Victor took her back to the mansion. He carried her to her room. He laid her on the bed gently. The doctor was already there, waiting. Victor stood by the door as the doctor examined her. Minor injuries, bruises, nothing serious. She would heal. When the doctor left, Victor sat beside her bed. Elena looked at him. Her eyes were exhausted but grateful. "You destroyed an entire organization for me," she whispered. "Yes. Why?" Victor was quiet. Then he spoke. "Because when I look at you, I see someone worth protecting, someone worth fighting for. And I've spent my whole life fighting for the wrong things. Power, money, territory. But you're different. You're real." Elena's hand reached out. She took his hand. Her fingers were small in his, but her grip was strong. "Thank you," she said, "for seeing me, for caring, for being there when no one else was." Victor squeezed her hand gently. "I'll always be there. That's a promise." Days turned into weeks. Elena recovered. She stayed in the mansion. Not as a maid anymore. Victor wouldn't allow it. She was a guest. Protected. Cared for. Safe. The city changed too. Word spread. Viktor Volkov had declared war over a woman. He had crushed Kozlov's entire operation. He had sent a message. "Touch what's mine, and you die." No one dared challenge him after that. His power grew. His reputation became legend. The Mafia boss, who would burn the world for one person. The man who showed that protection could be more powerful than any weapon. Elena watched him from the mansion. She saw the man behind the monster. The man who was cold to the world, but warm to her. The man who never said romantic words but showed devotion through action. Through sacrifice. Through unwavering protection. One evening, they sat together in the garden. The sunset painted the sky in orange and red. Elena looked at Victor. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now you live," Victor said. "You're free. You're safe. You do whatever you want. And if what I want is to stay here? With you?" Victor looked at her. Really looked at her. "Then you stay." Elena smiled. It was a small smile. But it was real. "Then, I'm staying." Victor nodded. He didn't smile back. "Victor, Victor, Victor," but his eyes softened. "Just a little. Just enough." "Good," he said quietly. They sat in silence. Two broken people who found something unexpected. Not love, in the traditional sense, but something deeper, something stronger. Protection. Trust. Devotion. A bond forged in blood and fear and unwavering loyalty. Elena knew she was safe. Victor knew she was his to protect. And in a world of darkness and violence, that was enough. The city continued its dangerous rhythm. Rivals plotted. Enemies schemed. But none dared touch Elena, because Viktor Volkov had made his stance clear. She was untouchable. She was sacred. She was his. And he would destroy anyone who forgot that. Months passed. Elena became part of Victor's world. Not as a weakness, as a strength. She reminded him why he fought, why he survived, why he built his empire. Not for greed, for protection, for the people who mattered. His men respected her. His enemies feared her, because she had something no one else had. Victor's complete and total protection. his fierce, primal devotion that knew no limits. Elena learned to trust again, to smile again, to believe she deserved safety and care. Victor never pushed her, never demanded anything. He simply existed beside her. A constant presence, a wall between her and the world. One night, Elena found Victor in his office. He was going through reports. She knocked softly. "Can I come in?" "Always." She entered. She sat across from him. "I wanted to thank you. For everything. You don't need to thank me." "Yes, I do. You changed my life. You saved me. Not just from my brother or Kozlov. From myself. From believing I didn't matter." Victor set down his papers. He looked at her with those cold, calculating eyes that somehow made her feel warm. "You always mattered," he said. "The world just didn't see it. But I did. And I always will." Elena's eyes filled with tears. But they weren't sad tears. They were grateful tears. Tears of relief and hope and something that felt like home. "I see you too," she said softly. "The real you. And I'm not afraid." Victor's expression flickered. Just for a moment. Something vulnerable. Something human. "You should be," he said quietly. "I'm a dangerous man." "Not to me." Those 3 words hung in the air. Victor stood. He walked around the desk. He stood in front of her. For a moment, they just looked at each other. 2 souls, who found safety in the most unlikely place. Victor reached out. He touched her face gently. His thumb brushed her healed cheek. "I'll always protect you. No matter what." "I know," Elena whispered. And she did know. She felt it in every action he took, every decision he made, every enemy he destroyed. Viktor Volkov, the most feared man in the city, had one weakness. Her. But it wasn't a weakness at all. It was his greatest strength. If you were watching from the shadows like him, courage to step in. Drop your thoughts in the comments. This villain isn't done yet, and the streets won't be safe for long. Years would pass. The city would change. Empires would rise and fall. But one thing remained constant. Viktor's protection of Elena. His fierce, unwavering devotion that never faded, never weakened. He never said, "I love you." He never kissed her. He never forced romance. But his actions spoke louder than any words ever could. He gave her safety. He gave her freedom. He gave her a life worth living. And Elena gave him purpose. A reason beyond power and money. A reason to be more than a monster. Together, they were complete. Not in a romantic fairy tale way, but in a real, raw, powerful way. A bond that couldn't be broken. A protection that couldn't be breached. The Mafia boss and his maid. 2 unlikely souls who found each other in the darkness and created their own light. The city whispered their story. Some called it obsession. Some called it madness. But those who really knew understood. It was devotion. Pure, fierce, unbreakable devotion. And in a world full of lies and betrayal and violence, that devotion was the most powerful force of all. Victor stood on the balcony of his mansion. The city stretched before him. His empire. His kingdom. But when he looked back inside and saw Elena reading by the fireplace, safe and content, he knew the truth. She was his real empire. She was what he truly ruled. Not through fear or force, but through protection and care and unwavering loyalty. And he would defend that empire until his last breath. Elena looked up and met his eyes. She smiled. That small, genuine smile that was only for him. Victor didn't smile back. But he nodded. a silent promise. I'm here. I'll always be here. You're safe. And she was. Forever safe under the protection of the most dangerous man in the city. The man who saw her scars and decided they would be the last scars she ever bore. So tell me, where are you? Watching this story from? Victor protected Elena in his city. And now, their story has reached you in yours. Drop your location in the comments. Let's see how far this tale of fierce devotion has traveled. Because just like Victor's empire, this story is spreading across the world, one heart at a time. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who needs to know that protection like this exists, even if it's just in stories.